listening to Power Producers Shoptalk, where we are refining and redefining the sales game by equipping you with the tools you need to differentiate yourself in the marketplace.
Listening to the podcast is only going to get you so far. Why not take your game to the next level? Check out Power Producer Basecamp on killingcommercial.com today.
Tactical skills that'll help you provide deliverable value to your clients and prospects.
Want to have the sweet swag that we send out from the Power Producers podcast for your clients and employees? Check out policyt.com today.
And action items that you can provide to take your prospects and clients to the next level.
Want to create an online presence but don't know how to start? Check out crushingcontent.com. It's done for you, so all you have to do is show up.
This is Power Producers Shop Talk, production redefined. Are you ready to feel the power?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Power Producers Shop Talk, where we are refining and redefining the sales game. And today, we are going to talk about something that I think is extremely important for producers and, honestly, pretty much anybody in the agency alike, and that is accountability, both internal and external, what that looks like, and all of the fun stuff associated with it. Speaking of accountability, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we are off to the races in Power Producer Basecamp. If you're looking for that external accountability that we're going to talk about here during this episode, go to killingcommercial.com and click on the Power Producer Basecamp link at the top, and it will tell you everything you need to know. The other thing I'll tell you is on September 25th, we are having our fourth quarter Cram course boot camp. This is going to give you everything you need to be thinking about to get on track, stay on track, or blow your numbers out of the water as we go into the fourth quarter and into 2025. Go to killingcommercial.com/bootcamp today, and you can see the information, the roster of speakers, the topics, and ultimately take advantage of our early bird pricing, which ends on September 8th at midnight. So make sure you check that out today. Anyhow, let's talk a little bit about accountability. I think that it's something that's often overlooked, and so many times producers out there operate more like lone wolves that are just kind of doing their own thing. They hold themselves accountable, allegedly, but let's face it, we're all human, and at some point, we're going to end up getting our eye taken off the ball. It's happened to me. It's happened to people on my team. And as much as I do everything I can, in my mind anyhow, to hold them accountable, sometimes they just need a little bit more, not necessarily because they're unmotivated individuals, not because they're lazy, not because they're not hitting their numbers, but sometimes they just need somebody that's not biased, that's not on the inside, that can give it to them straight and help them become even better. You know, I've had to have a couple of meetings over the course of the last couple of weeks with some people on my team that I feel like needed a little bit of a kick in the rear end. And one of the things that I make sure that they understand is I do believe in you. If I didn't, I would never have brought you in, but you need to believe in you and you need to push yourself to be the best you can be. I grew up playing sports, and my best coaches were the ones that were the roughest on me because they demanded the most out of me. And times where I wasn't willing to push myself, they pushed me, and they used a variety of methods to do it. Sometimes they were nasty, sometimes they were loving, sometimes they were in your face, sometimes they benched you and made you think about it. But at the end of the day, a great coach and a great leader is never going to allow you to settle for anything less than your absolute best. And why should producers be any different? I think part of the problem is, though, especially in larger firms, and I've worked in agencies of all sizes at this point, sometimes producers are embarrassed. They're not going to be as vulnerable or open in sales meetings if the guys and ladies that they're working side by side with, but also kind of competing against to be the top dog in the firm, they're just not going to open up and share their struggles as much. You would have to have a really exceptional company culture that fosters that in order to make that happen. And I think that a lot of times that politics inside of who's competing for the boss's attention or who's going to be the next to be named partner or who's related to who at the top of the food chain prohibits some of that stuff from happening. And I think, in its simplest form, accountability is just our obligation as an individual to account for our actions. And, we need to accept responsibility and disclose the results in transparent manner. But in the context of commercial insurance sales, it often revolves around meeting targets, adhering to the company's policies, and ensuring that the client needs are met. Accountability goes beyond just checking boxes, though. It plays a critical role in shaping the producer's career trajectory and influences their decision making process and ultimately determines their success. I think a lot of times, too, accountability goes back to what are we promising at the point of sale versus what are we actually delivering to our clients and prospects. Whether we realize it or not, we do have accountability externally built into every relationship that we have. Think about what you say to get that deal done, and then go back and think, did I deliver on that over the course of the next year? It's one of the reasons why when we go into a middle market relationship at Florida Risk Partners, we define what we're going to do. We do a baseline risk assessment so we can understand what's going on in the operations of that company in relationship to their insurance and risk management program. Where are the deficiencies? What needs to be improved? And how are we as the firm going to give them the resources or at least coordinate the resources necessary for them to be able to make those improvements? Sometimes it involves external loss control. Sometimes it involves loss control from the carrier. Certainly, we have roles as the producer, the service team, and even our risk management practice leader internally in making sure we deliver on that promise. But we can't just define it. We have to give them, here's the problem, here's the treatment plan, and then we have to have a mechanism in place that is going to help us remain accountable to them over the course of the year. I've said it my entire career, and I get flack for this sometimes, but I don't understand why people need to have stewardship reports. Stewardship reports to me are nothing more than a producer going in and trying to convince a client why they should hire them again for another year based on everything they say they did for them over the past year. Why should that be a one time a year thing? That's why we have a risk management action plan at my firm. We update that monthly or quarterly, depending on the complexity of the risk and the need for services. But there's never a question as to what we're doing, what we're going to do, and most importantly, what we've already done that we promised we were going to do. So having that risk management action plan that's based off of the baseline risk assessment and the risk assessment report have helped us make sure that we hold ourselves accountable, but we do it openly with our client every single time that risk management action plan is updated. I think that a lot of times, though, we focus on internal accountability, whether it be with a sales manager or a sales leader, the partners in the firm, maybe even the agency principal if you're in a smaller operation. But it's tough to be held accountable by your employer, your manager, or your team for achieving the specific goals and following company protocols. It's necessary for maintaining standards and ensuring performance, but it often focuses primarily on short-term results rather than long-term development. Whereas if you're talking about external accountability, it refers to the practice of seeking guidance and feedback from individuals or groups outside of the organization. It could be a mentor, a coach, a peer group, or an industry network. External accountability certainly provides a fresh perspective, free from the internal biases and politics that can sometimes cloud the judgment within an organization. Think about how many times you've had to fight over a lead. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but I know that I have, where I had built a pipeline and would go out and call on people, go out, have a great first meeting, and sometimes even close a deal, only to come back and find out that somebody's third cousin went to high school with a person who was coached by the brother of the decision maker at the place where you went, and they got their hand in your pocket for commission splits when they never even had any forward progress on it. So internal politics and a lot of that can really be detrimental and cloud an organization. And I know that the easy answer is, well, that organization has a culture issue if they tolerate that stuff. Well, yeah, I get it. They do. But most of them don't recognize that. They don't see the forest through the trees, and as a result, you end up losing really good people who probably would have been lifers by not giving them a place where they can operate freely and know that they're protected. By establishing the rules and then holding them and all others accountable to that equally, that's how you build that kind of a culture. But at the end of the day, I've seen it over and over again. And look at the people who are in owning Manhattan, Ryan Serhant and his team. Those people are probably some of the most blood-sucking competitive real estate agents on the planet. And the infighting is crazy. Then I realized some of that is probably made up for TV, but I've actually experienced similar behavior in producers, and it's not even on massive accounts all the time. Sometimes it's on stupid stuff that's not even worth fighting over. But the problem is there is politics, there is nepotism, and a lot of people don't want to recognize that. But I've seen it firsthand, and you'll never convince me otherwise. When used correctly, accountability is certainly a powerful tool that can drive, producers to be the best that they can be. It's going to create a sense of responsibility. It's going to encourage discipline. It's going to foster commitment to continuous improvement. And I'm of the mindset that too many people in our industry today don't take that continuous improvement part seriously enough. Now, certainly we can go read all the self-help books out there. We can read the motivational stuff. We can, get the memes on Facebook that tell us all the things we need to do to go out and attack our day. But what happens with continuing ed? What happens with getting professional designations? There's a subset of people out there who don't believe in those things. They don't think that continuing ed is important. They don't think that designations separate you from the pack when you're out on the streets. And I happen to disagree with that. I think it's really important, but over and over and over again, I'm online or I'm talking to people who say, "Hey, where's the place that I can go get my continuing ed, the cheapest and the fastest?" What would happen if we put that on a poster that you had to carry into every single prospect appointment, or put a t-shirt on and made you wear it that said, "I like to get my continuing education cheap and fast," and you had to present to somebody that way? I know it's ludicrous to think, but whether you're wearing that t-shirt or not, that's exactly what you're doing. And that's exactly what's happening at the point of sale. You're not taking things seriously. You're not investing in your self-development. And you're going into prospects to tell them you're the best option when, quite frankly, you're not. I think that we as an industry need to do a whole lot better of adopting a serious mentality toward getting better. Why do we want to just stay the same in our role? And it's funny because the insurance industry specifically seems to have a problem with this. And it goes back to the story I was told when I got into the industry to begin with, that we are an average industry full of C players. There are people out there that are going to do just enough to get by and nothing more. And they're perfectly fine with that because they can make a reasonably good living and they can have an amazing work-life balance and not have a care in the world, and they don't ever have to push themselves. These are the guys and ladies that are at the 19th hole bending elbows with the prospect instead of being in that CIC Ruble course that's teaching you the intricacies of the niche that you're in. It's the people that are out at happy hour and making friends and shaking hands and kissing babies and playing the political game. Meanwhile, you're back at your office taking calls from their other clients that aren't at that event that have a question and they can't get it answered because it's been social hour far too many times. We really need to push ourselves to be better. And most agencies today don't have those mechanisms in place to push us at the level that we can be pushed if we look for external accountability. Inside the organizations, we've talked about the organizational bias and the internal politics. Within a company, there are so many dynamics at play that can influence how accountability is enforced and perceived. You know, Company culture might prioritize certain behaviors or outcomes over others. We've talked about that, and leading to a skewed sense of what really is important for a producer's development. Additionally, internal politics can create an environment where producers feel pressured to conform to certain expectations, which may not always align with their personal growth objectives. And I'm going to throw another one out there. They also may not align with your personal moral code. Ethics is something that we laugh about. And I mean, my goodness, I think we all, when I hear ethics anyhow, and I've raised my sons the right way, my older ones anyhow, because we think about Billy Madison when they're at the end doing the Jeopardy style Olympics. And, Richard has to do the part about ethics. And and he can't talk about it because he has none. And I think that there's too many times where we think about insurance and ethics, and there's just so many things out there that are wrong, whether it be sliding BORs that the client doesn't know they're signing, or allowing them to intentionally understate their exposures so they don't pay as much premium in, and then they end up with audit issues at the end, or not class coding people the right way so that you can get a deal done. Come on, guys and ladies, it's not that tough to be honest in this world. Like, I don't want to cheat to get a piece of business. I've always said that. Like, how fun is it to win if you have to cheat to win? I'd much rather win inside the confines of the rules and the ethical code that I've created for myself. And I challenge each of you to do the same. Every one of us is going to be on the fence at some point where we have a deal where if we just told a little white lie, we might be able to get that deal done. And guess what happens? We don't. It's not worth it, people. Another problem that you have when you're dealing with internal accountability is just a limited perspective. Within one organization, producers are exposed to relatively narrow set of experiences, insights, and feedback, and it can lead to a limited understanding of the broader industry landscape, as well as a lack of awareness of alternative strategies and the approaches that could enhance their effectiveness. External accountability, by contrast, provides access to a wider range of perspectives that can help producers see beyond the immediate confines of their own organization. Some of my best friends in the industry are people that are literally 25, 30 minutes away. I've got people that I originally started my very first CIC designation course with that are friendly competitors with me. If I ever call on an account and I know they're on it, I will walk away from that account because I know they do a good job. And in fact, not only am I going to walk away from it, but I'm going to pick up the phone and let them know, hey, I'm going to tell you now, I was able to get into your client. Not sure what's going on, if there's anything you might need to tighten up, but I just wanted to let you know, once I found out you were on the account, I was at the first meeting, but I gracefully walked away from it and told them they're already in good hands and there's nothing good I'm going to do to improve that relationship. It's okay to walk away from business if you know there are people that are doing it right, because there's so many out there who aren't. Think about that. On the other hand, though, when you think about external accountability, one of the most significant benefits of external accountability is the access to unbiased feedback. Unlike internal stakeholders who likely have their own interests or agendas, external mentors, coaches, or peer groups can provide honest and impartial feedback. This objectivity allows producers to receive constructive criticism that's not influenced by internal dynamics, and it helps them identify blind spots, challenge assumptions, and make more informed decisions. External accountability partners are also going to bring you a broader perspective to the table, offering insights and experiences from outside your own organization. This exposure to different viewpoints and industry practices can help you think more creatively, adapt to changing market conditions, and stay ahead of industry trends. Whether it's learning about new sales techniques, understanding emerging risks, or exploring innovative solutions for client needs, an external perspective can be invaluable in broadening a producer's horizons. Here's the thing, people, you're already doing some of this to make yourself better if you're listening to podcasts like this one, because we are going to share our perspective, and it likely will be unique compared to what you experience now if you're in a traditional insurance firm. And that's why we do it. I want you to hear what we do. I am very much an abundant mentality person, not a scarcity. And too many people in our industry have that scarcity mentality, and they don't want to share what they're doing. At the end of the day, I can stand on the mountaintops and give you my entire game plan. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that over 50% of the people are never going to act on it. And it goes back to what I originally said. We are a C industry with average people who do just enough to get by. Quit settling for the status quo and act on some of these things. I don't think you need to go out and reenact every single podcast that we put out, but at the end of the day, you should be looking for those 2 or 3 nuggets that we give you every single time, not just from us on Shop Talk, but also when we interview other people who are successful in the game. These are people that I learned from just by interviewing them, and they've made me a better producer over the course of the 4 years that we've had this podcast because of it. While internal accountability is going to often emphasize short term performance, external accountability partners are really likely to help you focus on long term personal growth. They understand that true success in commercial insurance sales is not just about hitting quarterly targets, but about developing the skills, knowledge, and mindset that will enable a sustained success over the course of your career. External mentors or coaches can help you set and achieve personal development goals, such as improving communication skills, enhancing industry expertise, or just building a stronger professional network. In Killing Commercial, in Power Producer Base Camp, this is the most rewarding part of what I do outside of helping my own producers realize their own potential. It's awesome for me to be able to experience taking something I know that has helped me win at the point of sale, share that with somebody else, and then watch them go out and use that same trick or tool. Trick's not really a good word because it sounds deceiving. So, that same tool to win for themselves. External accountability partners are also going to encourage producers to think outside the box and embrace innovation. In an industry where competition is fierce and client needs are constantly evolving, the ability to innovate is crucial. External mentors or coaches can challenge producers to question the status quo, experiment with new approaches, and take calculated risks that could lead to significant breakthroughs in their sales strategies. This encouragement of innovation can set producers apart from their peers and position them as leaders in the industry. How does accountability, externally enhance personal development? It helps build confidence. External accountability can play a crucial role in building a producer's confidence. When producers have a trusted external partner who believes in their potential and provides constructive feedback, they are more likely to develop the self assurance needed to make bold decisions and pursue their ambitious goals. Confidence is a key ingredient for success in commercial insurance sales, where producers must navigate complex client relationships, negotiate deals, and advocate for their solutions. And guess what, people? This isn't just limited to dealing with clients and prospects. You have to do this internally to make sure that if you have to get approval to write certain deals because it's outside the scope of what your agency does, that you can lobby to get those things done internally, or even in your relationships with underwriters and wholesalers to get quotes back in a reasonable time, to be able to get the results you're looking for before you ever even go to present to your clients and prospects. It's really, really important. And self-confidence is the most crucial thing any producer can have. At the beginning of the regular Power Producers podcast, you hear me talk about getting in there and crushing it, closing the deal. That's a real story from a time where I just didn't think I belonged in the room. And I had to get out of my own head and tell myself, what are you doing, man? This guy's already agreed to take the meeting with you. Who cares that it's, $750,000 in premium and you're 32 years old and you've never written an account this big? You're living in your head. That guy has already said, come on in. I'm going to talk to you. You have something to offer that I'm not currently getting. I want to hear what you have to say. And too many times we let the voice in our head win out over the external evidence, which is there's nothing to worry about. Just get in there and do what you do. You're going to be just fine. The other thing is, external accountability really helps you improve self-awareness. If you have regular check-ins with an external accountability partner, it can help you become more self-aware. Self-awareness, obviously, is the ability to recognize and understand your own strengths, weaknesses, and behaviors and how they impact others. By receiving honest feedback and engaging in reflective discussions, producers can gain deeper insights into their own patterns of behavior and identify areas of improvement. This heightened self-awareness can lead to more effective communication, stronger relationships, and better decision making. Some of the best days in my life were actually, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth because this was internal, but it worked. We would go in the early part of my career as a group to a meeting with a large middle market account. And before we ever left the parking lot, we would all critique how each other did. What did we do well? What did we not do so well? What do we need to act on when we get back? How are we going to follow up with the prospect? And ultimately, take that information and put it into our playbook to become better and better and better. Maybe if you don't have internal feedback like that, you need to at least sit back and reflect and make notes and then share those with external accountability partners and get their feedback on their thoughts on what you could do better. One of the best things that happened during COVID, not that I want to say great things happened during a pandemic, but one of the things that did happen that benefited producers and also service teams and agencies alike is many first appointments and many appointments period were done over Zoom and they were recorded. It allowed you to share that recording internally, which we did with our team in sales meeting to be able to get that feedback that we would have otherwise not gotten if we were flying solo on an appointment. Imagine if you still met on Zoom and had an external accountability partner and you recorded your first appointments and shared those so that when you met with them on a regular basis, they were actually seeing you do things in real time and giving you great advice as a result of that. Those are the types of little tweaks that we have the ability to make with technology that allow us to go back and listen and fix things. One of the things that I have now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I have this little device on the back of my phone called Applaud, Plaud, and it's an AI recorder that integrates with my phone. It will allow me to push a button and record anything at all that I want to dictate. And it'll also allow me to flip a switch and it'll record both sides of a conversation on my cell phone. That's the easy part. The cool part is that it transcribes all of that. It gives you a summary, it gives you the full transcription, and it also gives you a mind map. Imagine if you took your Plod recorder on every new business appointment, hit the button, and recorded yourself presenting so that you then came back and had that summary, transcription, and mind map. Imagine the content you could create from a marketing perspective and the sound bites that you would get, but you could also find all of those areas where you missed opportunities or you forgot to mention something, even though you were extremely prepared, the jitters got to you in the middle of the meeting. The last thing I'm going to talk about as we wrap this up is it helps you develop a growth mindset. External accountability fosters the development of a growth mindset in and of itself. You have to believe that your abilities and your intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. It's going to be better today than it was yesterday, but not as good as it will be tomorrow when you have this kind of mindset. Producers with a growth mindset are more likely to embrace challenges. They persist in the face of setbacks and view failures as opportunities for learning and growth. An external mentor or a coach can reinforce this mindset by encouraging producers to set stretch goals, take on new challenges, and continuously seek opportunities for improvement. I'm going to stop there because I think that that pretty much sums up everything we need to talk about for the time being. As producers, we need to know how these things are going to impact us. I also think we need to be willing to make those investments. Obviously, I have tools that I offer through Killing Commercial and Power Producer Basecamp, where you can be part of a community. You can get the learning through our learning management systems. You can get the one-on-one coaching as needed by scheduling time with me. And to me, that's a really valuable asset, and I think everybody should be a part of it. But I also know that I am not everybody's flavor. Even though you listen to this podcast, you may hate my guts and you just listen so that you can criticize. I'm okay with that. That's not a problem. But if you truly value self-development, find who it is you're going to look for. And there are great people out there that I would recommend other than me, Charles Specht being one of them. I think Charles does a great job with his community in building it and showing producers how to get to $1 million book of business. I think Randy Schwantz is kind of like the OG out there, one of them anyhow. He wrote the first book I ever read when I got my license, The Wedge, and he is still out there pumping out content and holding workshops all the time. Check out Randy. Scott Addis's Beyond Insurance Group Network is a great group of people for you to be a part of, and they provide you a ton of value and resources and a different thought process that is going to help you win at the point of sale. Now, obviously, I'm biased and think that we can do the same or better than any of the people that I mentioned, but at the same time, I want you to know that I think there are other really, really good resources out there And certainly, I need to seek people who are external accountability partners and coaches because I can't coach myself. I will never get the self awareness. I will never get the professional development. And I'll never get that extra little nudge or push that I need sometimes to remember I got to keep grinding every single day to do the right things. So, as you're out there and you're looking for people, look for people you can trust, look for people who have industry expertise, look for people who are not afraid to get in your grill and challenge you and push you to be the best that you can, and make sure that they have an alignment with what your goals are. And if you follow those things and you find that person or that group that you can be a part of, you're going to change the way your production career goes for the rest of the time you're in this industry. As always, I thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. See ya. If you've been listening to this episode and you're challenged for looking for that outside accountability, I challenge you to go to killingcommercial.com. We keep the site updated with relevant blogs. We have a link to our YouTube channel there where you can get tons of video education. But if you want to be part of one of the private communities, check out Killing Commercial itself, which is an agency-wide decision. Or if you're an individual producer, check out Power Producer Basecamp, the revamped Power Producers Mastermind, which is blowing up right now and doing great things for producers all over the country.